Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by saying life is not a straight line. It's messy, unpredictable, and at times ruthlessly challenging. But here's the secret: those very moments that seem like the end, they're often just the beginning. We've all faced setbacks, heartbreaks, failures, rejections that felt personal, doors slammed in our faces, people telling us we're not enough, too much, or not what they're looking for. I've been there. You've been there, and guess what? We're still standing. But let me tell you something very clearly. A setback is not a sign to stop. It's a signal to pause, reflect, and rebuild. Stronger. You see, a comeback doesn't start with applause. It starts with silence. It begins in the quiet corners of self. Doubt, in those sleepless nights when no one believes in you but you. Comebacks are born when you wipe your tears, roll up your sleeves, and say to yourself, "This is not how my story ends." Do not let anyone define your worth based on one moment of failure. You are more than a bad day, a missed opportunity, or a no. You are the fire starter of your own future. Turn that rejection into redirection, that mistake into mastery, that fall into fuel. Because when you rise, oh, when you rise with wisdom, with grit, and with a story that can't be written by anyone but you, and that is your power. Let's start with the truth. Setbacks hurt. There's no sugarcoating it. They sting, they bruise your ego, and sometimes they shatter your confidence. Whether it's a rejection, a public failure, a lost opportunity, or being underestimated, it leaves a mark. But what if I told you that the fall is where greatness begins? That moment of falling flat, when the world turns its back, or when life doesn't go according to plan. That's not your ending. That's your launch pad. The most powerful comebacks are born in those silent, lonely moments, not on the stage, not on social media, but when you're staring at yourself in the mirror and deciding, "I'm not done yet." We live in a world that often celebrates perfection, the highlight reels, the filtered wins, the awards, the achievements, but real strength, real power that comes from owning your story, the messy, unfiltered, painful parts too. Every scar tells a story, every setback is a chapter. Don't hide them, wear them like armor. Because there's nothing more powerful than a person who stands tall and says, "Yes, I've been broken, but look at how I rebuilt." Your setbacks don't define you, but how you rise after them does. Authenticity is your superpower. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy. You just need to be real and brave enough to say, "This is who I am, a work in progress and a masterpiece all at once." Let's be honest, rejection stings. Whether it's a job, a dream role, a relationship, or an opportunity that slips through your fingers, rejection can make you question everything. But I want you to reframe it. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth, it's redirection. It's the universe, life, or whatever higher force you believe in, nudging you towards something greater. You didn't get that role. Maybe you were meant to create your own. That company passed on you. Maybe you were destined to build your own legacy. That door slammed shut, good. It wasn't your door. We often pray for success. But when it comes packaged as a detour, we panic. Don't. Trust the timing. Trust the detours. Sometimes they're not obstacles, they're just part of your preparation. In the silence of setbacks, you'll find your true self, not the version you show the world, but the version that fights, that endures, that keeps going. This is where the real work begins, not in shouting your goals, but in doing the work no one sees, the late nights, the early mornings, the daily commitment to showing up even when it's hard, even when no one is clapping. A comeback isn't made overnight. It's built on consistency, self-discipline, and courage, not drama. Let me take you back to a moment we all know too well, the moment of failure, that crushing point when something you dreamed about, planned for, poured your energy into just doesn't work out. Maybe it was an exam, a relationship, a career milestone, or maybe it was your confidence that took a hit. Whatever it was, we've all been there, that gut-wrenching feeling when you ask yourself, "Why me?" That quiet voice inside your head that says, "Maybe I'm not good enough." That's the moment I want to talk about. That moment isn't your ending, it's your beginning. You see, the world loves a success story. It celebrates the win, the triumph, the trophy. But what the world often overlooks is the part before the applause, the part where you fall flat on your face. The part where everything seems to go wrong and nothing makes sense. That's the part that matters the most, because that's where the real story begins. That's where you decide who you are. We're raised to believe that failure is something to be ashamed of, that a wrong move, a missed chance, or a door closed in your face somehow defines your worth. But here's what I've learned through my own messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful journey. Failure is not a reflection of your weakness. It's a test of your strength. When you hit the ground, it's not over unless you decide to stay down. That moment of falling, it's not failure, it's information, it's feedback, it's the universe giving you a choice: stay small or rise stronger. Some of the most powerful transformations in life come from the most uncomfortable places. Think about it. Pressure turns coal into diamonds, fire forges steel, and human beings, we grow when we're stretched. We evolve when we're broken open. Pain is a brutal but honest teacher, and setbacks, they are part of that curriculum. But here's the thing that most people miss. You can't rush your comeback. You can't fast forward through the pain. You've got to sit in it, feel it, learn from it, own it. Only then can you truly rise. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. Growth happens in the silence, in the loneliness, in the moments when the lights are off and no one is watching. That's when you build character. That's when you find your voice. That's when you realize that your worth was never tied to your performance in the first place. I remember a time when I faced rejection that felt personal. Deep, cutting, and in that moment I wanted to walk away. I wanted to hide. I started to believe the voices that said, "You're not right for this. You're not good enough. You don't belong." But something inside me, a small, stubborn flame, refused to be put out. And I realized it's not the world's job to believe in me. It's mine. If I didn't believe in myself in that moment, how could I expect anyone else to? We're conditioned to chase validation. We wait for people to approve of us, to applaud us, to tell us we're worthy. But what happens when no one claps? What happens when you stand on the stage and it's just silence? That's when you must clap for yourself. That's when you must become your own biggest cheerleader, and that doesn't come from ego. It comes from resilience. You see, resilience is not about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about honoring the struggle while refusing to let it define you. It's about saying, yes, I failed, yes, I fell, but that's not the end of my story. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I still have fight left in me. There is something fierce about someone who has been broken but chooses to get back up. There's a kind of beauty in the cracked parts of our lives. Because through those cracks the light gets in, and through those wounds we learn how to heal, not perfectly, not all at once, but deeply, honestly, authentically. And let me be clear, rising from a setback doesn't mean going back to who you were. It means becoming someone new, someone wiser, sharper, more grounded. The fall doesn't just teach you about failure. It teaches you about who your real friends are. It teaches you about patience, about grace, about perseverance. You begin to see that pain doesn't last forever, and neither does success. What lasts is your spirit, your heart, your decision to keep going. So the next time you fall, don't panic. Don't numb it, don't hide from it. Feel it, embrace it, use it. That pain you're feeling, it's a signal. A transformation is on the way. That moment where you think everything's falling apart, it might just be everything falling into place. People will look at your success one day and call it lucky, but only you will know the truth. You'll know about the nights you didn't sleep, the tears you cried, the doubts you fought, and the fire that never went out. Let them see the comeback, but you remember the fall, because that's where the strength was built. That's where the character was forged, and that's where you learned that a setback is not your stopping point. There is something profoundly powerful about owning your story. Every chapter, every scar, every part you once wanted to hide. We all have pieces of ourselves we wish we could erase, things we're not proud of. Moments when we failed, when we were broken, when we felt small. It's human to want to bury the parts of our past that hurt. But here's what I've come to understand. Hiding those chapters doesn't make them disappear. It just gives them more control over you. Real freedom, true, unapologetic strength, comes when you decide to own it all, not just the polished version you show the world, not just the accomplishments and the perfect moments you share online. I'm talking about the real stuff, the disappointments, the rejections, the trauma, the pain, the identity crises, the times you didn't think you'd make it through, the times you almost gave up on yourself. All of it, when you stand up and say, "This is my story and I'm not ashamed of it," you stop living in fear, you stop hiding, you stop shrinking to make others comfortable, and instead, you start living on your terms. Too many people wear masks, afraid that if the world saw their real face, it wouldn't love them back. But let me tell you something. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs real ones, the ones who have fallen and gotten back up. The ones who have been hurt and still show love. The ones who have failed and still try again. That's courage, that's beauty, that's authenticity. When you own your story, you take back your power. You stop letting shame whisper in your ear. You stop letting guilt run the show, and instead you step into the truth that everything you've been through has shaped the person you are today. Every scar is proof that you survived. Every chapter, even the darkest ones, got you here. So many of us think our story has to be shiny to be worthy. We wait to share our voice until we've made it, until we've tied every loose end, until we have the perfect before and after. But the truth is, your story is powerful not because it's perfect, but because it's real. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with honesty, with humanity, with someone who says, "I've been there too." Your pain can become someone else's survival guide. Your vulnerability might be the permission someone else needs to open up. And that's the gift of owning your story. It doesn't just free you, it can free others too. But owning your story isn't a one-time decision, it's a practice. It's waking up every day and choosing to show up as your full self, even when it's hard. It's letting go of who people think you should be and embracing who you really are. And yes, it's scary, it's uncomfortable, because being real requires you to stand in your truth, even when it's messy, even when it's misunderstood, even when it makes people uncomfortable. But once you taste that freedom, you'll never go back. You don't need permission to be proud of your journey. You don't need anyone else to validate your past for it to matter. You don't owe anyone an edited version of your life. You're allowed to be a beautiful contradiction, strong and soft, healing and hurting, growing and grounded all at once. You are allowed to say, "This is me, take it or leave it." There will be people who try to minimize your experiences. People who tell you to move on, get over it, stay quiet, but don't silence your truth to protect their comfort, because the moment you begin to hide yourself, you begin to lose yourself, and you've worked too hard to find your voice just to give it up again. And if there are parts of your story that still hurt, if there are wounds that haven't fully healed yet, that's okay too. Owning your story doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means being honest about where you are and giving yourself the grace to be in progress. You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. In fact, you always will be, so take pride in how far you've come, not just in the things the world can see, but in the quiet victories too. In the healing, in the boundaries you've set, in the nights you showed up for yourself when no one else did. That counts, that matters, you matter, and remember, no one gets to tell your story for you. Not your critics, not your past, not even your own doubts. Only you have the right to decide what your life means. So write your story loud, own it fully. Let every chapter, every scar, every triumph, and every heartbreak be a testament to the strength it took to survive it all. Because when you do that, when you own your story, you don't just change your narrative. Rejection, that one word has the power to shake even the strongest among us. It has this way of slipping under your skin and whispering things that aren't true. You're not good enough. You're not wanted. You're not ready. It can make you question everything, your path, your purpose, your potential. And yet, rejection is not the enemy we think it is. In fact, more often than not, it's a blessing in disguise. It doesn't feel like it when you're in the thick of it, I know. But in time, if you're willing to keep moving, you'll realize rejection isn't the end. It's a divine redirection. We've all been there. Maybe it was the job you thought was perfect for you. Maybe it was a relationship you gave your whole heart to. Maybe it was an audition, an application, a dream you worked so hard for, and they said no. The silence after that kind of no can be deafening. You go over every detail in your mind, wondering what you could have done differently. You analyze your words, your appearance, your timing. You start to internalize it as a reflection of your worth. But that's where we go wrong. Rejection is not proof that you're inadequate. It's simply proof that that door wasn't yours. Life is a series of open and closed doors. Some close loudly and dramatically. Some just drift shut without warning. And when we're emotionally invested, we stand there knocking and pleading and waiting, hoping someone will unlock it again. But here's what I've learned. You can't force open a door that isn't meant for you. And even if you did, you might not like what's on the other side. Sometimes we get so attached to what we thought we wanted, we forget to make space for something better. That's what rejection does. It creates space. It clears the clutter. It reroutes your path towards something you never would have seen if you stayed stuck begging for approval. Some of the best things that ever happened in my life came disguised as rejection. Opportunities I lost made space for ones that transformed me. People who walked away made room for people who truly saw me, and dreams that didn't work out taught me to dream bigger beyond what I thought was possible. We don't like letting go of our plans. We cling to them like safety nets. But life has a way of showing us that we are capable of so much more than we imagine for ourselves, if we're willing to let go of the version of the future we were so attached to. That's not to say rejection doesn't hurt. It does, it's painful, it stings, it knocks the wind out of you, but pain doesn't mean failure, and discomfort doesn't mean something is wrong. In fact, discomfort is often the sign that you're growing, evolving, being pushed beyond the edges of who you used to be. That's not something to resist, it's something to respect. And let's talk about timing. Sometimes it's not the opportunity that's wrong, it's just not the right time, but rejection rarely comes with an explanation. That's the hard part. It demands trust in yourself, trust in your journey. Trust in something bigger than what you can see right now. It demands that you believe, even when there's no evidence, that what's meant for you will not miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. There's this moment that happens when you finally stop chasing what rejected you, a quiet, calm moment when you realize that losing that thing didn't break you, it shaped you. That moment is when redirection starts to feel like relief. When you look back and say, "Thank God that didn't work out. Thank God I was redirected," you stop seeing rejection as punishment and start seeing it as protection, a reroute, a recalibration. But to get to that clarity, you have to keep going. You have to be willing to take the detour, even when it's lonely, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you don't know where it leads. Because one day, you'll find yourself exactly where you're meant to be, doing something that lights up your soul in ways that old version of your dream never could. And in that moment, you'll thank every closed door. Every no, every detour, because you'll realize that rejection didn't break you, it built you. Sometimes the thing you think you want is only a stepping stone to something better. Sometimes the detour is actually the destination. And sometimes the very thing you think is setting you back is the thing that's pushing you toward a breakthrough. So don't fear rejection, learn from it, honor it, let it humble you but not defeat you. Let it refine you, not define you. Let it move you forward, not freeze you in place, because what's meant for you is still out there, and it's waiting for you to stop staring at the closed door long enough to notice the new one just a few steps away. You just have to trust the detour. We live in a world obsessed with perfection. Perfect bodies, perfect careers, perfect timelines, perfect lives curated for social media. Everywhere you look, there's this pressure to be flawless. To always get it right, to rise fast, shine bright, and never fall short. But let's be honest, perfection is an illusion. It's smoke and mirrors. A trap we set for ourselves that robs us of the beauty of being human. Real strength, real growth, it doesn't come from chasing perfection. It comes from resilience, from the choice to keep showing up, even when everything feels hard, messy, and far from ideal. There's a kind of power that lives in progress. In simply moving forward, step by step, no matter how small those steps might seem. We don't always give that enough credit. We applaud the big wins, the dramatic breakthroughs, the polished outcomes. But what about the quiet days, the mornings you got out of bed even though anxiety screamed at you to stay down, the hours you spent working on your dream when no one was watching, the times you chose to heal, to grow, to forgive, even when it hurt? That's progress, that's power. Resilience is about choosing to try again when perfection says quit. It's about holding on when things don't go according to plan. It's falling 7 times and standing up 8. And let me tell you something, those who keep going, even when it's hard, even when they feel like they're behind, are far stronger than those who appear to have it all together, because resilience doesn't fake strength. It builds it. So many of us hold back because we think we're not ready, not good enough, not perfect yet. We wait until we have the right circumstances, the right confidence, the right version of ourselves. But the truth is, waiting for perfect is just another way of avoiding the work. The real growth happens in the process, in the doing, in the showing up day after day with your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, and doing the work anyway. That's not weakness, that's courage. I've learned to honor the messy middle, the part of the journey where you're not quite there yet, but you're not where you used to be either. That in-between space is where character is built, where you test your endurance, where you discover your voice, and even though it's uncomfortable, it's necessary, because no one transforms without going through that fire. We need to stop glorifying effortless success. That narrative is a lie. No one rises without struggle. No one reaches greatness without setbacks. Behind every success story is a trail of failures, tears, rejections, and moments of doubt. And what separates those who make it from those who don't isn't talent or perfection. It's resilience. It's grit. It's the ability to keep walking through the storm without letting it change your destination. Progress might be slow, it might look unimpressive on the outside, but it's powerful. Because every bit of effort you put in, every lesson you learn, every obstacle you overcome, it's shaping you into the person you're meant to become. You might not notice the growth while you're in it. But one day, you'll look back and realize that you were never stuck. You were never failing. You were evolving. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. You just have to keep going, and some days progress looks like a win. Other days it looks like getting through the day without giving up. Both are valid, both are worthy, both are part of the journey. And let me tell you this, people will try to define you by your setbacks. They'll remember your missteps, your pauses, your imperfect moments. Let them, because while they're watching the surface, you're doing the deeper work. You're learning resilience, You're building something unshakable, and that foundation, built on effort and endurance, will outlast anything built on the fragile pedestal of perfection. There is no perfect version of you waiting somewhere in the future. There is only this version, the one that's trying, growing, fighting, learning, and that version is already enough, already powerful, already worthy. You don't become strong by being perfect. You become strong by being willing to keep showing up when you're not. So celebrate your progress, all of it, the tiny shifts, the small wins, the times you got up when it would have been easier to stay down. That's the real victory. That's where resilience lives. Not in how perfectly you perform, but in how persistently you rise. Perfection may impress people for a moment, but resilience inspires people for a lifetime, because when they see you fall and get back up, when they see you keep going despite the odds, it gives them permission to do the same. And that's the kind of legacy worth leaving, not one of flawlessness, but one of fire, one that says, I didn't have to be perfect to be powerful. I just had to keep going. At some point in life, we're all handed a story. Sometimes it's written by our parents, sometimes by society, by schools, by strangers, by the people who think they know us. They hand us roles, titles, expectations. They say, this is who you are, this is what someone like you can achieve, this is how far you can go. And because we're young or scared or uncertain, we believe them. We wear those labels like they're facts. We live inside the boundaries they've drawn for us, even if those boundaries feel too tight for the person we're becoming. But here's the truth they never told us. You are the author of your life. At any moment, you can take the pen back. At any moment, you can stop reading the script someone else wrote for you and start writing your own. You don't have to live the story of limitation, of fear, of silence. You don't have to be the version of yourself that others are comfortable with. You don't have to carry the weight of other people's projections. You get to decide who you are and what your future looks like, and that power, it's terrifying and beautiful all at once, because it means no more blaming, no more waiting for rescue, no more sitting back hoping things will magically change. It means standing up and saying, this is not how my story ends. It means rewriting every chapter that told you that you weren't smart enough, strong enough, pretty enough, worthy enough. It means confronting your past, not to erase it, but to take ownership of it. You are not just the main character of your life. You are the narrator. And if the story you've been living doesn't reflect your truth, your values, your fire, then change it. You don't have to wait for permission. Rewrite the story where your anxiety made you weak. Rewrite the one where your failures defined you. Rewrite the chapter where heartbreak made you believe you were unlovable. None of those narratives serve you. They're not the full picture. They're fragments, true maybe but incomplete, and you get to choose how they end. We spend so much of our time giving our story away. We hand it over to teachers, bosses, lovers, friends. We ask them, tell me who I am, but they don't know. They can only see from their limited perspective, and sometimes they see us through the lens of their own fear or bias or insecurity. If they've only known a chapter of you, how can they possibly understand the entire book? That's why you must be the one to write it, because no one else can capture your full journey. No one else can do justice to the fire that lives inside you. No one else can speak your truth the way you can. Rewriting the narrative means taking back your identity. It means rejecting the stories that boxed you in. It means saying, I am not who I was yesterday, and I don't have to apologize for that. It's the process of letting go of labels that no longer fit and redefining success on your own terms. Maybe success isn't the corner office or the big title. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's waking up and liking who you are. Maybe it's speaking up even when your voice shakes. Maybe it's walking away from what no longer serves you, even if it scares you. That's your story to write, but don't expect everyone to applaud your rewrite. Some people loved the old version of you. the one who kept quiet, who played small, who stayed predictable. They may not understand the new chapters you're writing. That's okay. Your story isn't up for public approval. You're not writing a bestseller for the crowd. You're writing something far more important, a life that feels true to you. There will be chapters you're not proud of. That's natural. You may have hurt people. You may have hurt yourself. But every author has rough drafts. Every story has conflict. The goal is not to pretend it didn't happen. The goal is to take those moments and write your way through them. To give them context, meaning, transformation, to grow from them. That's what rewriting looks like. Not denial, but evolution. Sometimes the story changes when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can I create from this? When you stop feeling like a victim of circumstance and realize you can be a creator of new paths. When you stop letting past pain narrate your present voice, that shift is everything. You are not a fixed character. You are not frozen in time. You are dynamic, expanding, always in motion. You are allowed to change your mind, your direction, your dreams. You are allowed to grow out of the old versions of yourself. That's not being inconsistent. That's being alive. Let the world catch up. And no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're on page 10 or page 10,000, it's never too late to rewrite. The story isn't over. You are still breathing, still choosing, still capable of radical transformation. So take the pen, cross out the fear, erase the doubt, add more courage, more grace, more light. This is your story. Make it unforgettable. There's a kind of silence that settles over you when you're carrying pain you think no one will understand, a weight you try to hide beneath accomplishments, smiles, routines. You wear confidence like armor. You say, I'm fine, like a reflex. But deep down, you know that something is unspoken, and for the longest time we're taught to believe that strength means never showing the cracks, that vulnerability is weakness, that we must package our pain neatly, keep it hidden, keep moving. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the thing you're most afraid to share is the very thing that will set you free? Owning your story means standing face with the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. The heartbreak, the failure, the insecurity, the mess, and instead of running from it, instead of burying it under fake perfection, you look at it and say, this too is me. Not because it's pretty, not because it's easy, but because it's real. And when you start to tell the truth, your truth, you give yourself the permission to finally exhale. You stop performing and start being. That's the power of vulnerability. It unlocks something inside you that's been aching for release. There's a myth that you have to have it all figured out before you can inspire others, that you have to be healed, whole, and perfect. But people don't connect with perfection. They connect with honesty, with courage, with someone who's willing to say, I've been through the fire and I'm still standing. That kind of truth echoes, it resonates, because deep down everyone is carrying something. Everyone is afraid they're the only one who's struggling. And when you stand in your truth, you become a mirror that tells others you're not alone. But let's be clear, vulnerability is not about oversharing. It's not about exposing your wounds to anyone who walks by. It's about owning your story, not bleeding from it. It's about being selective, intentional, and rooted in the strength that says, I've lived through this and I'm not ashamed. That ownership is magnetic. It shifts the energy in every room you walk into, because there's nothing more powerful than someone who knows exactly who they are and isn't afraid to show up fully. For a long time, I thought I had to hide my struggles in order to be respected. I thought that if people saw the cracks, they'd question my worth, but the opposite happened. The more honest I became, the more grounded I felt. I stopped carrying the weight of pretending. I stopped shrinking myself to fit someone else's narrative of what strong looks like. And I started to realize that true strength is soft, it's compassionate, it's open. The strongest people I know are the ones who have dared to be seen fully, flaws and all. We've been taught to armor up, to walk into rooms with rehearsed smiles and perfect answers, but sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is say, "I don't know," or "I'm scared," or "I'm still figuring it out." That kind of truth disarms people. It invites them in. It creates space for real connection. And in a world that's obsessed with image, connection is revolutionary. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that feels like a lie. You don't have to keep editing your personality, your voice, your experiences just to make others comfortable. You are allowed to be fully, unapologetically you, with your fears, with your fire, with your complexities. And when you do that, you stop attracting people who love your mask, and you start attracting people who love your truth. Owning your story also means not waiting for someone else to validate it, not waiting for permission to speak your truth. You don't need a green light from the world to be honest about what shaped you. The things you went through, the lessons you carry, the wisdom you've earned through struggle, those are not shameful, they're sacred. They make you human, they make you real, and real is what people are dying to see. Sometimes you will have to walk into rooms where your truth makes others uncomfortable, where your story challenges their assumptions. Walk in anyway, because when you own your voice, when you stand in your truth, you become undeniable. No one can use your story against you when you've already claimed it as your own. There is healing in being seen. And there is strength in saying, "This is who I am, this is what I've survived, and I'm not hiding anymore." That kind of bravery shifts culture, it breaks cycles, it liberates not just you, but everyone watching. Because the moment one person speaks their truth, it gives the next person permission to do the same. Vulnerability is contagious. It's how movements start. It's how generations heal. So own your story. Every chapter, even the ones you once wanted to skip, they brought you here. They built your compassion, your empathy, your fire. Your story, exactly as it is, holds power. It holds purpose. And when you stop trying to rewrite it for someone else's comfort and start embracing it for what it is, a journey of becoming, you unlock something unshakable within you. You realize that being vulnerable doesn't make you weak. It makes you real, and being real, that's the most powerful thing you can ever be.